Premiership Rugby round 2. Another 6 games are in the bag. I gotta say, I'm enjoying the Premiership season thus far. I'm enjoying how close most of these games are. I'm enjoying the fact that 2 of the teams predicted to be kind of all conquering towards the bottom of the table, albeit very early in the season, and still guys to come back from, Lions duties and whatnot. It's kind of, it's a hard one to script. You don't really know what's going to happen. I love the fact that all the games are on the website a day after. If you want to watch them delayed and the highlights are up, the stats are good. Like, everything to like about the Premiership season thus far. I ended up watching 3 of the games. I was a little bit slack with all the rugby on that I did know the result of 2 of them before I watched them, which kind of took the sting out of the tail. But Leicester and Gloucester, I certainly watched live. Not live, but I watched it without knowing the result. So we'll start with Leicester and Gloucester. Leicester, prior to the start of the season, people were saying, look out for these guys. And so far so good, man. They're 2 from 2. Looking pretty good. Bit of a back and forth game. Couple of yellow cards. Some try-saving stuff. Some desperation. Ackerman had a try-saver. Potter was pretty good. Nandola was good. Like the Leicester wingers were kind of cranking up the run meters. Few contests under the high ball, which was good. Both sides pick up 4 tries, so bonus points each way. Wells, Genge, Potter, and Dolly. Dolly can't stay out of the try scoring at the moment for Leicester. And Balmain, Ackerman, Atkinson, and Clement gets that last one on 72 to secure 2 points for Gloucester in this one. So, really back and forth game. I don't think Leicester, did they ever concede the lead? I don't think so. Like, they were 13-0 up at one point. Never got passed, I don't think, by Gloucester. No, looking at my notes from during the game, they never got behind. But Gloucester never really surrendered. Like, they never stopped fighting back. Every time Leicester would go out to a slightly bigger lead, Gloucester would always hit back. Like Potter's try, I mean, they use magic as the word. Like, that's going to be the phrase anytime that guy does something astounding, and it was pretty good. But then, like, they would hit back. Like Potter's one's on 53, Atkinson's 57. So it was kind of tit for tat the whole game. Good crowd. Defenders beaten, man, 17-9. The Leicester guys were really causing havoc. I think Potter, Nandolo, and Genge all had 4. So proper stuff from the kind of the wingers and then the captain. So really good to see. Both sides tackled pretty well, but I think Leicester's defense, you got to look at that, man. 93% tackle completion is phenomenal. And Gloucester, I mean, to be fair, at their death, they had a chance to draw it. They had a penalty. They went to the corner. They went about 6 phases, and then they conceded a penalty. So they'll feel unlucky that they could have got a better result. But it went down to the wire. Went down to the last play of the game. So that's proper entertaining stuff, especially if you don't know the result. But interesting. Singleton went like 80 minutes, which was crazy. George Ford had the ball fall off the tee twice. And when he was lining up a penalty, he put the ball on the tee, it fell off. He put the ball back on the tee, it fell off again. And then he pretty much just had to kick it straight away. So he missed that one. So, there were a couple of kicks I think Leicester maybe missed to kind of seal it. They missed one on 78 minutes to seal it. They could have put it beyond doubt. But, like I said, cracking game. Leicester are first on 10 points. Not sure about their jersey in this game. Their away jersey was a bit... I prefer their home jersey. It wasn't quite a jersey clash, but it wasn't really easy on the eye for some reason. Maybe both the back of the jerseys having the big square white block around the number. I'm not sure. But, Gloucester are 11th on 2 points. They're away to Worcester next week. They would like to pick up a win, certainly. And Leicester, we'll see where they're at because Saracens coming off the bye. Going to go to Welford Roads. That should be probably one of the games of the week, I reckon. The next one, I didn't watch this one. I saw the result 44-8 and wondered what on earth. That's the only game this week that was a proper one-sided affair, wasn't it? But at halftime, it wasn't game over. Halftime was like, 16-8 to Wasps. I've watched the highlights. A bunch of second half tries. Crossdale got 2 in the first half. Shields got 1. He also gets red carded later. It's a second yellow. Frost, Willis, and Kibarigi get them. LIRvSAL gets the one for Bristol. So the start of the game seems to, I guess, kind of go according to the script. I think Bristol get the first penalty. Crossdale gets a try in the corner on debut. Proper gas. But, LIRvSAL gets one, gets Bristol's only one, while Wasps are a man down. But then, turnover ball was just brutal. How many of these tries from Wasps was when they either got turned over, they turned the Bristol guys over, or there was just loose ball. Like Kibarigi's one was just a loose ball, he snaffled it up. Willis's one was turnover ball. Pretty long range try, to be fair. Some nice, good work from mobile forwards for Wasps. So yeah, pretty pleasing stuff. I was interested to see that Fafita was in the second row. He can play both. Always expressed himself that he wanted to be a Lucy, but I guess he'll play wherever he can start, and he did get a start. So, I think Frost was also on debut, right? So, pretty memorable one, man. 44 points to 8. That is a bloody hiding, but at least, what was it, 3 of the tries? Shields one was after Robson had turned the ball over after a scrum, so some soft stuff from Bristol. I'm not sure what's going on there. How many of the guys are they waiting to come back? Who have they got out injured? It's not pretty at the moment. Knock-ons was a phenomenal stat. 13-4 with Bristol having the 13. And when Wasps are that deadly on the counter, man, you just can't afford to be doing that. I haven't seen the full game, like I said, but the scrums, according to the stats, are messy. 7 from 12 for Wasps and 2 from 4 for Bristol. So lots of not securing your own scrum ball. I'm not sure what was going on there. You guys will have to let me know. But I mean, Crossdale, 2 clean breaks, 2 tries. That's a pretty good start. LIRvSAL, a try, 10 from 10 tackles. So, yeah, Bristol's tackling numbers overall, 76%, is pretty shocking stuff. Like, even Super Rugby teams would look at 76% and go, that's not kind of professional. But anyway, only 2 games in, but Bristol are none from 2. So they will have to improve. They're the only team without a point thus far, which is, again, not ideal. They got Bath at home next week. Bath have also opened their season with a couple of losses, so I know they're teams that don't like each other very much, so that could be a bit of an interesting watch. Wasps are away at Newcastle. Wasps are in 6th, and Bristol, as I mentioned, are kind of dead last. So, yeah. Another team who seems to be struggling a wee bit is Exeter. They are also none from 2. I'm not sure if the new laws are maybe not in their favour. It's something that was talked a little bit about prior to the season, about whether they might struggle with the way, like with the goal line dropouts especially. I did watch this game. I did know the result going into it, which is kind of unfortunate when it's that close. You'd like it to be kind of an edge of your seat one. But there was at least one time in this game when Exeter got held up. And, traditionally that would have been a 5-metre scrum, and you'd probably back Exeter. Maybe not in this game because Northampton's defence was phenomenal, but you'd put pretty decent money on Exeter to be able to get over the line. But because it's a dropout, they kind of lose that opportunity. And Northampton, very clever from the dropout, were able to actually regather it. They'd planned what to do. They had someone kind of chasing down the kick on the left wing. So, very troubling start, I guess, for Exeter to the season. Like, they're 12th. They're only above Bristol on 1 point. Northampton are actually sitting pretty in 3rd on 9. They're 2 from 2. So they didn't start the game that well, though. I mean, Exeter were up like 14-0. Couple of quick tries. Pressure early from Exeter. Yander went over, and then Maunda got the next one like about 2 minutes later. I think it was Slade with the line break. It might have been Cordero put the grubber through. So proper good execution from Exeter's guys, forwards and backs, so a bit of everything. But yeah, Northampton didn't give up. Grayson had a pretty good game, seemingly. They got tries through Mitchell and Proctor. Proctor with a pretty good step. Also kind of tries in relatively quick succession, only about 8 minutes between them. So apparently Proctor hasn't scored that many tries, but he's the guy who kind of got the try that evened it up to make it 14-0. Half-time, I think it was 21-17, but Northampton had a yellow card through Matavesi, and Exeter had punished them during that time. So it was a proper grass cutter, no arms tackle, so not a good look from him. But again, trying to stop Exeter from close range. And a few times Exeter weren't able to execute on those ones right out in front. Right? They would have that traditional Exeter tap and go, and like Northampton's defence would just hold. Their maul defence was good, so really pleasing for them. And they kicked their goals, man. Furbank's penalty was the killer on 79 minutes. Distance and an angle. But yeah, Northampton kicked their goals. And what can you say? They didn't score as many tries. It was there was one to Ema as well for Exeter. But man, Northampton kicked their goals and were able to get it done. So yeah, it was a neck roll to finish the game, which was a bit of a weird one because the TMO spotted it, and then the game was just kind of called quits. It was a neck roll from one of the Exeter guys while on attack, which was bizarre. So Exeter did miss a few kicks, which was costly. They missed a few tackles. 79% is their tackling rate, which is again not great, whereas Northampton a phenomenal 93%. They made 110 tackles to 58, which is, I don't know, there's not that many tackles, so it speaks to kind of low ball in play time. I'm not quite sure what the deal was with that. Maybe it was just a bit slow. 17 penalties to 12 is kind of on the high side. Furbank, as I mentioned, pretty phenomenal. He had a bunch of run meters, kicked a couple of goals. Matsavesi made a bunch of tackles, but did get that yellow card. Joe Simmons, 41 run meters, but I think he's the guy who missed the tackle on Proctor. So yeah, interesting one. We'll have to see how well Exeter can kind of adapt. But I mean, they've got some guys to come back in the squad. Sam Simmons has got to come back. Cowan Dickey's got to come back. So certainly not writing them off after 2 rounds. But it wasn't the start that I would have expected. I certainly didn't pick them to go none from 2 in the Premiership. But anyway, the next one, I kind of wish I'd written these games down in order, but that's what happens when you don't watch them live. Harlequins and Worcester. Didn't watch this one in full, just watched the highlights. Harlequins love a tap, eh? They really, they tapped and went so many times, and their scrum seemed to be absolutely brutalising the Worcester guys from what little I've seen. They seem to be absolutely dominating. They got tries through Liner, who showed more power than I thought he had. Like, they had numbers for days, Harlequins, but the passing wasn't that kind of slick that Liner had to take one from a standing start, and then the defence was able to cover, but he just still managed to power over, so good from him. Don Brandt's one was on the back of a huge scrum. Murley, Marchant and Lamb got tries as well. Marchant out on that left wing a fair bit, was finding some open space. But Worcester, they got a try at the death, which gets both the 4-try bonus point and gets them within 7. So Lawrence Hines, who I think he's had tries in both his weeks now for Worcester, Chudley and then Thomas at the end. So yeah, some good tries, man. I think all of these games were kind of entertaining their own way, but this one seemed to be particularly open, at least from what little I've seen. Like Marchant, as I mentioned, out on the wing. Hines' one was from kind of a chip and regather. He was just onside from the look of things. Yeah, Chudley's one was a big clean break. So yeah, maybe I should watch more of these teams. I'm trying to rotate the teams that I watch. So yeah, I think Worcester's maybe next on my list, but they are home to Gloucester, so I'll have to kind of wait and see how I plan it. But yeah, it's a disappointing one, but I guess you take the fact that you got that try at the end. There was an interesting one. There was a yellow card to Worcester in this one, and it was tough because Tyrone Green jumped into it, but it was a bouncing ball, which guys don't usually jump for. And I don't know, like, it's clear if a guy's jumping for a kick and you take him in the air, that's absolutely a penalty and you're probably going to be in trouble. But a jumping catch for a bouncing ball is unusual, so I thought Worcester were kind of, it's unlucky, but I don't know how they interpret the laws. Like, I know if you jump into a tackle, there's nothing explicit in the laws that says you can't do that, but you've seen that kind of thing get penalised before because it's dangerous play. But jumping for a bouncing ball, you don't see it that often, because usually if it's bouncing, you don't need to jump for it. But yeah, it was tough. I felt for Worcester in that one, but as I said, it's pretty rare. I mean, you could argue he jumped into the tackle because he didn't need to jump for it, but I guess Tyrone Green's not that big a guy. I've only seen it really once on express service, so yeah, it's kind of hard to say. But like I mentioned, 2 bonus points for Worcester at the death. I'll certainly not be complaining too much about that away from home. Clegg, 15 from 15 tackles. Waller seemed to be having a bit of trouble at scrum time. I think he conceded about 3 penalties. Not sure if it was all him, but Tyrone Green, like I mentioned, 93 run meters, 5 defenders beaten, but also 5 turnovers conceded. So maybe chucking the ball around a bit much, I don't know. Harlequins tackling 94%, phenomenal. Worcester 85%, not bad. But penalties conceded 18-5. That's a very, very lopsided penalty count. And like I said, it looked to be largely at scrum time from what limited I've seen. But anyway, it's a good result for Quins. They're in second. They go on the bye, 2 from 2, 2 bonus point wins. Worcester are fourth, so win and a loss. Double bonus point loss, not too bad. They host Gloucester next week. The next one was Newcastle and Bath. And I don't know, like I just looked at the final stats of this game. The run meters are 444, which is kind of low. Like the average this week across all 6 games is 660. Wasps was 849, the total for that game, Wasps and Bristol. London Irish has won 667, Harlequins won 759, so low. I'm not sure if this game was a hard watch because I only watched the highlights. I mean, Radwan is a very easy watch. That guy, you can't give him any space. Holy smokes, he got the first try in 11 minutes. Like any space, that guy will just blitz people. So he was magic. But yeah, a bit of a game of 2 halves, I guess, because it was 20 points to 3 for seemingly ages in this game. I mean, as magnificent as Radwan's try one was, McGuigan's one from that line-out set play was also phenomenal. He would have... McGuigan would have not been in that much space prior, surely, in his professional career. But yeah, 20 points to 3 for ages. Bath get the try through a Jomo on like 70. And they're chasing the game. It's almost a bit too little too late. And they kicked that last penalty to just get within 7 at the death. So a good crowd at the Rec. But and Newcastle had a man in the bin as well. I think Bath had a yellow card earlier. But 444 run meters is by far the lowest of the week. Glanville gets 84 and Jomo gets 51, so those guys have cracked on with the majority of them. Radwan and McGuigan get the most for Newcastle with 35, but the kick numbers weren't huge, so I'm not quite sure what to make of it without kind of watching the whole game. Like didn't have more kicking than other games. Was it just a bit slow? Don't know, but I mean Newcastle will certainly take an away win all the way to the bank. Bath 10 knock-ons to Newcastle's 4, kind of says a lot. Penalties conceded 15 to 3 is kind of high-ish without being atrocious. So, but either way, Bath, they've got 2 points. They're away to Bristol next week. Like I mentioned, that's going to be a pretty important game for both those teams. And Newcastle, 7th with 5 points. They are at home to Wasps. A win and a loss for them. So, back at home, they'll be hoping to give their home fans something to cheer for. But Wasps, after one game, are looking pretty dangerous. The last one I watched, I did know the result again, unfortunately, was London Irish and Sale. Another bit of a game of 2 halves, eh? At London Irish, we'll be thinking we should have won this one with some missed kicks. I mean, Paddy Jackson's one at the death was a pretty tough kick and it hit the post, so it doesn't get a lot closer. It could have been one of the greatest comebacks. It was still a great comeback for a draw, but draws aren't ideal. You'd rather be getting the win, especially at home, first home game. And I think they're playing at a new stadium, right? I'm guessing they'll hope to fill it up a little bit more. Of all the crowds, it didn't seem to be the flashiest, but sometimes it's hard to tell because that stadium does seem to be a bit bigger than some of the other ones. So, McGinty unfortunately went off pretty early on this one for Sale, so maybe that's kind of a key reason. Like they score all their points in that first half. Halftime score is what? Can I even find it? 31-14. So no more points for Sale in that second half, but a good comeback from London Irish. Jackson missed a few penalties, like I mentioned. He missed the one at the death. He missed one on like 47. It was also a pretty long shot. Sale were denied one by the TMO in the second half, so both sides will be thinking they probably could have won it. Parton got a couple of tries for London Irish. Curtis Rona got one at the death. Creevy got one. White got one. All the Sales ones, like I mentioned in the first half. McGinty, Yard, James, and Cliff. I'm trying to think about what else I can remember. It's to watch too much rugby. Rona was obviously pretty impressive. Hipotema had like 12 from 12 tackles, which is a solid shift. Parton, 81 run meters and his 2 tries, so a good shift from him. Ross had 13 from 13 tackles, but that yellow card he got was pretty costly in the scheme of things. Both sides seemed a wee bit weak at the breakdown, kind of too much turnover ball. Penalty count 18 by Sale is too high. 12 by London Irish is still a wee bit high, but yeah, a lot of penalties in these games this week. It would be interesting to compare like the average for the Premiership to some of the other leagues, but yeah, the penalty count was pretty high. Maybe it's still early in the season, guys getting used to some of the law variations, I don't know, but yeah, 92% tackling for Sale is pretty pleasing, 89 for London Irish, also pretty pleasing. Both sides made 140 plus tackles. That's a lot of tackles. So yeah, London Irish are away to Northampton, which at the moment looks like a pretty tricky job. But based on what I've seen thus far, anything can happen, and Sale are home to Exeter. Can they keep Exeter winless after 3 rounds? It'll be interesting to see. But anyway, guys, do fill me in with the stuff that I missed. Like I mentioned, my mind kind of goes a bit of a blur because I watched this game about 4 days ago. I'm kind of going on what my notes say. But yeah, I've got a vague recollection of it with also the URC games and the Rugby Championship games on. But yeah, like I said, I'm enjoying it so far. All these games very close, barring Bristol's one. I'm not sure what's going on with Bristol yet. I'll have to pick what games to watch next week. I don't think I've watched a full game of Worcester. I don't think I've watched Bath. Bath against Bristol might be a pretty good watch, just given the rivalry and both teams have not got any wins yet. But anyway, I'll make my mind up throughout the week. Got a bit of time to think about it. But yeah, 21 minutes. I better wrap it up. You guys, let me know your thoughts on the games. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Cheers. See you later. Bye.